Hello, welcome back to the channel. So next part 5 of the 55 back half. I'm going to start working on the wheel tubs. So I bought a wheel tub kit so I don't have to make them completely from scratch. The only problem is that, this is a full body car. So the frame and the body need to remain two pieces. Normally you could just attach the inner fender to the frame and then just build off of that, but I can't have that on there permanently because as it flexes and moves around going down the road, it's just gonna want to rip these two pieces apart or however I attach it to there. So got this little kit, and you have a little edge on here. This little edge right here goes into this little edge on here, and then you just pound it over with a hammer and that seals it up. So that part's pretty easy. But I have to figure out how to get that on here and build a whole floor without supporting it anywhere. So I think what I want to do is probably put something on here just to act as a spacer temporarily, and then put that piece on there, and then I can build it all up. You have to start with the tubs first so I know how to build the floor, and the floor is going to be the same way. So the floor is technically way up here, so there's going to be a little bit of a gap, so I have to build a whole entire floor in midair. So I'll just use some spacers on here, build it up, weld it up, and see how that turns out. Also going to do some brake lines. I got the original brake line over here, so I'm going to run the brake line back to some point on the frame, and then a flex line going to the rear end. Solid lines coming out to the ends, and then flex line again going to the caliper. So that should be pretty cool. But so yeah, it's coming along. It's looking nice. So next part is wheel tubs, floors, brake lines, all that fun stuff. So that should keep me busy. So hang tight. Do another short little video so they're not too long, and I'll show you more progress. Thanks for watching. I think this will work. Just took a piece of 1/4 inch plywood, riveted to the frame, which gave me a nice little gap. And then put a couple Clecos in there, so I could actually take these clamps off if I wanted to. But I don't need to. So I think it's set pretty close to where I need it. Look at this straight edge here. Comes across and hits the old wheel well. So that looks pretty good. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this. This is the original angle of the gas filler. It doesn't have that on the other side, it just comes straight down. So I think I'll actually cut this and bring it straight down, get rid of all this. Cut it down through here. There's a little lip right here that I left all the way around, so the new tub should be able to sit on top of that, or pretty close to it. So I think this is gonna work. It's probably gonna be easier than I thought it was. Wait, did I just jinx myself? I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned. They came up with a game plan here. So I put my inner panel where it needs to be. It's Clecoed in, clamped in, so it's not going anywhere. So I marked my panel off at 3-inch increments all the way around, 3 inches apart. And then what I did was took my tape measure and I just measured at each line, cross over to where it's going to go, and that's about 15 inches because I have a little lip on the back that I can overlap. So I wrote down 15 inches at that mark. So I went all the way around at all the different increments, and I wrote down what the measurements are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the number of the lines, and then the inches is right there. So 15 drops down to 14.5, drops down to 14, 14, 14, 13 3/4, 13.5, and then does this little swoopy thing right here at basically 11.5. So I transferred that onto my actual tub. So here I put all my marks 3 inches apart, numbered them, and then I just took my measurements. So position 1 on the car was 15 inches, 15, 14 and 3/4, 14 and 5/8, so on and so forth. A bunch of 14s, and then tapers down, and then we get down to the 11 and a half. So part of this will be cut off. So now all I have to do is just measure out with all these measurements right here, draw a line, and that'll be the shape that I need to make it. So I'll make it a tad long so I can trim it. This stuff is really thin, so it's easy to trim. And that's my game plan. Hopefully it works, because you got one shot at this. So I'll show you how it's coming along. Well, I decided to make it out of cardboard first. I don't want to get lazy and get too fast on this deal. I got one shot at it, like I said, so laid it out on cardboard, just the cardboard that came with the packaging, which is going to work out pretty good. So just transferred all my numbers, 15 down to 14, and then tapers down to 11 and a half, 11 and a half, 12 and a half. Has a little curve right here, so we're going to cut that out. I just use my little nibblers to cut the cardboard. Actually works pretty good. So we'll get that cut out and then rolled up, and then tape that onto the tubs in there and see how that fits. All right, there we go. That's my pattern. So I'm going to roll this up, probably with around a round tube or something, so I don't get all these kinks. There we go. We'll see how this fits. Well, good thing I didn't lay that out the first time. Looks like it's actually going to work pretty good, except I missed this by a mile for some reason. That's okay. We can fix that on the sheet metal. Just got to move everything down, but it's actually going to fit pretty good. And we'll have a nice little lip to weld to right here, all the way around. It's going to go inside there nicely. There's plenty of room to weld, so worked out pretty good, except for that, about 2 inches off. So I'll just transfer everything down 2 inches, and I'm gonna leave it a little long, and I could trim it. Bada bing, bada boom. Looks good. So this is what I came up with. Looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna go ahead and weld it from the inside. So I can push up, make it nice and conform all the way around, especially with this little weird angle here. And it should look fine from the inside. A little hole to fix there, but go all the way up. I think it'll be fine. I want to put some seam sealer on it. It's nice and flat in here, and I could push up for different contours all the way around. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But first I gotta take this back off and get this thing painted so I can get paint in between there. But it's done. That one's built. I'm gonna start on the next one. Little measurement thing worked out pretty good. See my 5s line up, my 6s line up and everything. All right, so I got my frame painted. Looks really nice. And I have the tub pretty much installed. Got it all stitch welded in there. Only problem is that the wheel well is oval and my tub is round. So I have a big gap right here. I'm gonna have to put a filler piece in from the other side. But I have all kinds of stuff stacked under here, so I can't lower it right now, but oh yeah, you can see it from here. So I just have to make a filler piece to kind of mold those together. I think it'll be fine. And then I'm going to build a little subframe. I can't have this attached to the frame because this is part of the body and this is the frame, and those two have to move independently of each other. They have to flex. So this little piece of wood comes out, and I'll build a subframe that I could actually build the floor off of. The floor level is here. It's going to be about 1 3/4 inches above this. So I'll build a little subframe that I can attach the floor to and attach to this. Once it's all together, that'll give it some strength. So, and then I have to attack this side. I think it's going to work out though. It's looking pretty good. All right, so tubs are in-ish. Weird thing is that the wheel well is not really perfectly round. It was kind of oval. See, this one actually came way back. So I need to make a filler piece. This one wasn't quite as bad. It's bad because of the gas filler neck in this whole area right here. This side just kind of went a little long, so I just made a little patch panel. Pretty easy. And I'll finish welding that and grind it all down, make it nice. But yeah, they're basically in. So I'm going to attack this side next. Just have to make a pattern and cut this out and make a piece to go in there. Be a little hard, but not too bad. Nothing I can't handle. So I'll show you what that looks like. Well, I've been a little lax on the filming. I've been trying to bust this all out, but pretty much got the floor about done. It's just laying in here. It's not welded yet. Decided to make it in smaller pieces because it was easier. And I bent edges going down, kind of like this flange coming up, so I can attach them underneath and pinch them together. Because this floor is not going to have anything underneath it to support it. So if I weld all these little pinches together, it's actually going to be quite strong. I'm going to just tap this seam on the side there, weld it up. A little piece in here gets lifted up and welded. This piece is actually in there. So yeah, it's looking really good. This is relatively easy. I just made little patterns, and it's a little tough to get it exact. This one's kind of tight, but it fits. This one's just a little bit looser. But yeah, it's nice. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is make a Chevy emblem embossed in here. I have a bead roller, but this stuff's kind of thick, and bead rolling will stretch the panel and may deform it. So I'm going to try and do some embossing on here and see if that works. But yeah, I'm pleased. Looks pretty cool. Well, things slowed down a little bit. Waiting for parts to come in. I ordered some custom axles, and those finally showed up from Curry. I haven't even opened the box yet. I sent the rear end out to have it powder coated. So that's getting done. That should be done this week, hopefully. But I think the floor is pretty much done. I have a little bit left to do, but it's all pretty solid. Put edges on it, all the little pieces, and then plug welded them. And then put a little angle on there, made that. Finished all this up. This is all gonna be seam sealed and undercoated, so it's gonna look nice. Screws are just kind of temporary-ish. Just kind of holds everything together. Everything's welded on top of that. You can see a bunch of spot welds here. It's all welded up in there. So, pretty strong. I do have to actually build some pockets. Like right here where the upper control arm goes through, or the upper 4-link bar, I guess. Gets kind of close right here. So, I'm actually going to cut a little pocket in here. Probably about 2 inches or so. Make a little channel. But I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. You gotta put a little corner thingy in there, and then I ended up bracing the frame that I added. New frame, old frame. Just put a little brace on each side, just in case. I don't think it really needed it all that much. There is another brace that I built. That was this guy over here. So it's gonna go in the middle once everything's centered, locked down, put the drive shaft in there, and I can weld that up. So yeah, it looks very nice. Drop it down and I'll show you the top side. And here we go. So, all tacked in there. Got just a little bit more welding to do, I think. All in all, looks pretty good. I like it. And the inside just needs a little bit. Just got to make 2 little pieces for here. Other than that, that's pretty much done. A little bit of trimming, a little bit more weld. Well, I got to weld that whole thing up there, but yeah, that part's almost finished. So this thing's getting really close. Once the rear end gets back, I could slap all that together, put that in, and then actually get this thing on the ground and see how it looks. So this is going to conclude this next part, and then probably have one more to go for the final push and get this thing done. So once again, thanks for watching, and staying tuned for the next part.